You paid $30,000 to build a legal fortress. You trust your lawyer with your family's entire future. But here is the brutal truth they will never tell you to your face. Your lawyer is an officer of the court first, and your advocate second. Under the emergency decrees of 2026, that domestic trust isn't a shield. It is a Trojan horse designed for total transparency. If the system calls, your lawyer is legally bound to betray you. I am your guide at Fiscal Folklore, and today, we are destroying the illusion of domestic protection. It is time to cross the only bridge that cannot be closed. Stay sovereign, or prepare to lose it all. Welcome back to Fiscal Folklore. If you are watching this, it is because you have worked hard, you have built a legacy, and you have likely paid a premium to a high-end law firm to protect it. You have that thick leather folder in your safe, labeled Asset Protection Trust, and you believe you are safe. But today, we are going to peel back the mahogany curtain of the American legal system and reveal a truth that your lawyer is professionally terrified to tell you. Let's start with a simple question. Who does your lawyer actually work for? You might think the answer is obvious. You pay the bills. You sign the retainer, so they work for you, right? Wrong. In the United States, every single attorney is first and foremost an officer of the court. Before they are your advocate, before they are your protector, they are a sworn agent of the judicial system. They hold a license, a privilege granted by the state, and that license comes with a hidden price tag, their ultimate loyalty. Think about the oath they took. They didn't swear to protect your 50 acres or your bank account at all costs. They swore to uphold the laws of the state and the federal government. In the quiet halls of 2026, as the national debt screams past $38 trillion, that distinction is no longer a legal technicality. It is a death sentence for your privacy. Imagine this scenario. A federal emergency decree is signed tomorrow morning. The government demands a full disclosure of all beneficial owners of private trusts to stabilize the national interest. Your lawyer receives a subpoena or a direct order from a federal judge. What do? Do they stand on the barricades for you? Do they risk their license, their career, and their freedom to keep your secrets? No, they don't. They can't. Because the moment a court order hits their desk, their duty as an officer of the court overrides their duty to you. They will hand over the keys to your fortress, not because they want to, but because the system designed them to do exactly that. This is the first great crack in the trust gap. Most Americans live under the folklore of attorney-client privilege. They think it is an unbreakable vault. But privilege is not absolute. It was never meant to protect you from the state. It was designed to facilitate the legal process. In an era of mandatory transparency, that privilege is being weaponized against the very people who pay for it. Look at the history. Look at how the rules have shifted. From the Corporate Transparency Act to the latest reporting requirements of 2026, the walls are closing in. Your domestic lawyer is standing inside those walls with you, but they have an exit door that you don't. They can save themselves by complying, and they will. You see, a domestic trust is a creature of the state. It is born in a government office. It is registered under government rules, and it is governed by lawyers who hold government licenses. It is a closed loop, and you are on the outside, paying for the illusion of safety. I have seen the comments on our previous videos. I have seen the fear and the confusion. Someone wrote, "I spent $30,000 on a trust. My lawyer said I was untouchable." My friend, you are only untouchable as long as the weather is fair. But the storm of 2026 is here, and your lawyer is already preparing their umbrella, and that umbrella is not big enough for both of you. When the system becomes hungry, it doesn't look for criminals. It looks for resources. It looks for the 50 acres, the family ranch, the silent wealth that has been tucked away. And it uses the people you trust most to find it. This is not a conspiracy. It is a legal hierarchy. If your protection depends on a person who can lose their livelihood for helping you stay private, then you don't have protection. You have a hostage situation. Your assets are the hostage, and your lawyer is the guard who has been ordered to keep the door unlocked. In this 30-minute deep dive, we are going to go further than any competitor dares to go. We aren't just talking about taxes. We are talking about the fundamental betrayal of the domestic legal contract. We are going to show you why your trust is actually a Trojan horse. And more importantly, we are going to show you the bridge to a jurisdiction where the law serves the owner, not the state. The Swiss jurisdictional firebreak is not just a strategy. It is a declaration of independence. It is the only way to ensure that when the knock comes at the door, the person holding your keys is not an officer of the American court, but a guardian of your sovereign rights. Stay with me, because in part 2, we are going to deconstruct the trust document itself. We are going to show you the hidden back doors that the IRS and the federal government have spent decades installing in your asset protection plans. You will never look at that leather folder in your safe the same way again. This is fiscal folklore. And the truth is the only shield that still works. Now that you understand the impossible position of your lawyer, we must look at the tool they sold you. That leather-bound folder sitting in your office safe, your asset protection trust. You were told it was a fortress, a vault that no one could crack. But in the cold light of 2026, we have to call it what it really is: a Trojan horse. In ancient legends, the Trojan horse looked like a gift, a sign of victory. But inside, it carried the very forces that would destroy the city from within. Your domestic trust is no different. It was created using the laws of the state, registered in the databases of the state, and it relies on the courts of the state for its validity. You see, there is a fundamental rule in law that most people ignore. A creature cannot be greater than its creator. Because your trust was born in an American office, it is a creature of the American state. And the creator always has the master key to its own creation. Let's look at the anatomy of this trap. When your lawyer drafted those papers, they didn't just include clauses to protect you. They included compliance windows, mandatory reporting requirements, and backdoor access points for federal authorities. They had to. Because if they didn't, the state wouldn't recognize the trust as legal. Think about the Corporate Transparency Act and the even more aggressive mandates of 2026. The government didn't need to break down your door to find out what you own. They simply ordered the creatures they created to report their owners. Your trust, which you thought was private, is now a glowing beacon on a federal server. Every acre, every dollar, every beneficiary is indexed, filed, and waiting. Why did your lawyer build it this way? Because they were protecting themselves as much as you. They know that if a trust is too private, if it is too unreachable, it can be labeled as a tool for tax evasion or money laundering. So, to keep their own licenses safe, they gave you a safe that has a glass back. You see a steel door, but the IRS sees everything inside. This is the folklore of privacy. We grew up believing that a trust was a secret pact. But in the era of $38 trillion in national debt, secrets are the first thing the government digitizes. When the system is hungry, it doesn't need to sue you to get your assets. It simply redefines what compliance means. One day, your trust is a legal shield. The next day, a new emergency decree is signed, and suddenly, that same shield is a mandatory reporting entity. Your lawyer, remember, is an officer of the court. They will be the one to fill out the forms. They will be the one to hand over the ledger. And they will tell you, with a straight face, that they are just following the law. Someone in the comments of a competitor's video asked, "But what about my spendthrift clauses? What about my discretionary protections?" My friend, those are beautiful words on paper, but they are domestic words. They only have power as long as the domestic judge decides to respect them. And in 2026, when the federal government is looking for resources to stabilize the dollar, A local judge is not going to stand in the way of a national mandate. If the hand that holds the gavel is the same hand that signs the tax bills, you don't have protection. You have a permission slip, and that permission can be revoked at any moment. The Trojan Horse is already inside your walls. You brought it in yourself. You paid for it. You celebrated its arrival. But while you sleep, the compliance windows are open. The reporting is happening in real time, and your lawyer is standing by, ready to open the gate when the call comes. This is why the international firebreak is no longer a luxury for the ultra-wealthy. It is a survival requirement for anyone with something to lose. You cannot fight a fire if you are standing in a house made of dry paper. And your domestic trust, no matter how expensive, is made of paper. In Part 3, we are going to look at the emergency decree reality. We are going to show you exactly how the rules of the game can be changed overnight, leaving your paper fortress in ruins. But more importantly, we are going to begin showing you the blueprint for the stone fortress, the one built on a bridge the state cannot cross. Stay sovereign, because the truth is the only exit from the trap. We have reached a critical point in our journey. You understand the lawyer's dilemma. You have seen the hidden backdoors in your trust documents. But now, we must discuss the gavel of necessity and how the rules of the game change when the lights go out in the financial system. Most property owners in America live under a comforting illusion. They believe that as long as they follow the law will follow them. They think that a domestic judge, a man or woman from their own community, will protect their 50 acres because of the Constitution. But in 2026, that belief is the most dangerous folklore of all. You see, there is a concept in government called economic necessity. When the national debt is screaming past $38 trillion and the currency is shaking at its foundations, the government doesn't look for new laws. They look for emergency decrees. An emergency decree is a master key. It is a legal bypass that allows the executive branch to override traditional civil protections in the name of national stability. And here is the part your lawyer will never whisper in your ear. Under an emergency decree, your asset protection trust is not a fortress. It is an administrative obstacle that can be cleared with a single pen stroke. Let's look at the local judge paradox. You might know your local judge. You might have even voted for them. You think that if the IRS or a federal agency comes for your land, your local court will stand as a shield. But you must understand the hierarchy of power. A local judge, just like your lawyer, is a part of the system. Their funding, their authority, and their very jurisdiction flow from the top down. When a federal mandate comes through labeled as an emergency measure, that local judge is not going to commit professional suicide to protect your discretionary trust. They will sign the order, they will grant the access, and they will tell you that their hands are tied. I remember a comment from a farmer in the Midwest on one of those mainstream financial channels. He said, "I have a spendthrift trust. No creditor can touch my land." My friend, you are thinking about private creditors. You are thinking about a car accident or a business lawsuit. You are not thinking about a sovereign predator. A sovereign predator doesn't care about your spendthrift clauses. They don't care about the intent of your grantor. When the state decides that public welfare requires the revaluation or the temporary custody of certain assets, your domestic legal shields melt away like wax in a furnace. And what about your privacy? Many of you were sold anonymous LLCs or private land trusts. In the digital panopticon of 2026, anonymity is a myth for the middle class. The metadata of wealth is already collected. Even if they haven't moved against you yet, they already own the information. They know exactly where your 50 acres sit. They know who the beneficiaries are, and they know exactly which lawyer is holding the keys. The system has spent decades building a transparency web. They encouraged you to use domestic structures because it keeps your wealth within reach. It keeps you under their gavel. It keeps you in a jurisdiction where they have 100% control over the air you breathe, and the laws you follow. This is the trust gap at its most terrifying. The realization that the very person you pay to protect you and the very judge you trust to be fair are both cogs in a machine that is designed to prioritize its own survival over your D-san. You are standing on a sinking island, and your lawyer is trying to sell you a heavier set of boots. They tell you to update your trust, to add more domestic layers. But all they are doing is making you a bigger target for the next decree. You cannot find safety in the same place where the danger is born. If the fire is coming from the basement of the American legal system, you don't hide in the attic. You leave the house. In Part 4, we are going to stop talking about the trap and start talking about the bridge. We are going to explore why international jurisdiction is the only firebreak that works when the domestic system pivots to survival mode. We are going to show you why the Swiss mountain is not just a place for gold, but a place for the very title of your land to find sanctuary. The Trojan Horse is inside your gates, but the gate is still open for you to walk out, if you have the courage to see the truth. This is Fiscal Folklore, where we burn the illusions to save the reality. We have spent this journey walking through the ruins of the American legal fortress. We have seen the betrayal of the lawyer, the back doors in the trust, and the crushing weight of emergency decrees. If you are feeling a sense of dread, good. That means you are finally awake to the reality of 2026. But now, it is time to stop looking at the storm and start looking at the sanctuary. Welcome to the Swiss jurisdictional firebreak. Most people hear the word Switzerland and they think of secret bank accounts or gold bars. But that is the old folklore. The new reality is about something far more powerful: jurisdiction. In Part 1, I told you that a creature cannot be greater than its creator. A U.S. trust is a creature of the U.S. government. But what happens when the entity that holds the title to your land is born in a jurisdiction that does not recognize American emergency decrees? This is the bridge. The 100% legal escape that the elites have used for over a century. You aren't moving your 50 acres. That is physically impossible. You are moving the legal domicile of the title, the paper heart of your property, across the Atlantic, to a place where private property is treated as a sacred right, not a government privilege. Why Switzerland? Why not a Caribbean island or a desert tax haven? Because in the chaos of 2026, you don't need a tax haven, you need a fortress of law. Switzerland is a sovereign nation with 800 years of independence. Their judges are not officers of the American court. Their lawyers do not hold licenses granted by Washington. And their constitution does not have a back door for foreign emergency decrees. Imagine the scenario again. A federal order is signed to seize or transparentize all domestic assets. The order reaches the desk of your new Swiss trustee, and they do something your American lawyer cannot do. They say no. They can say no because they are governed by Swiss law, and Swiss law forbids the disclosure of client information to foreign powers without a crime being committed under Swiss statutes. Protecting your family D-san is not a crime in Zurich. It is a professional duty. This is the firebreak. In a forest fire, you dig a trench to stop the flames from spreading. The Swiss jurisdictional firebreak is a legal trench. By placing the ownership of your land into an international structure, you create a separation of powers. Even if the U.S. government threatens your domestic lawyer, that lawyer no longer holds the keys. The keys are thousands of miles away, in a mountain vault where the American gavel has no echoes. But is it legal? This is the question that keeps the honest property owner awake. The answer is 100%, as long as you follow the path of transparency. The elite don't hide, they declare. They use the law to transcend the law. By properly reporting your international structure to the IRS, you are in full compliance. You are not evading, you are insulating. You are telling the system, I am here, I am legal, but my D-san is no longer under your sole jurisdiction. This creates a checkmate position for the state. They can see the asset, but they cannot reach the title. To touch your land, they would have to engage in a multi-year international legal battle against a sovereign nation that has built its entire economy on the foundation of being a safe haven for global wealth. In 2026, the government is looking for the easy targets, the people sitting in domestic trusts with the doors unlocked. They are not looking for the people behind the Swiss Firebreak. I have seen the comments from people who say, "I'm not a billionaire, I just have my family farm." My friend, in the era of $38 trillion in debt, anyone with 50 acres is wealthy enough to be a target. You don't need $1 billion to build a bridge. You just need the knowledge that the bridge exists. Think about the peace of mind. Imagine sitting on your porch, looking over your fields, knowing that even if the domestic legal system pivots to survival mode tomorrow, your title is sleeping safely in a jurisdiction that hasn't seen a foreign invasion since Napoleon. That is not just financial planning. That is the ultimate act of sovereignty. In Part 5, the final chapter of this deep dive, we are going to give you the master blueprint. We are going to show you the 3 steps to cross this bridge legally, safely, and permanently. We are going to show you how to transform from a tenant of the state into a sovereign master of your legacy. The Trojan Horse is inside your gate, but the Swiss bridge is calling your name. It is time to choose which side of the firebreak you want to be on. This is Fiscal Folklore, and your DSAN is worth the journey. We have reached the final gate. You have seen the cracks in your domestic fortress. You have seen the shadow of the lawyer who must betray you. And you have seen the golden bridge leading to the Swiss mountain. But a bridge is useless if you do not know how to walk across it. Today, we complete your journey. I am going to give you the Sovereign Heritage Blueprint, the 3 steps that move you from being a target of the state to becoming the master of your DSAN. This is not just legal theory. This is how the elite have survived every collapse for the last 100 years. Step 1 is the mirror of reality. You must perform a deep audit of your current legal structures, but not with the lawyer who built them. You need a fresh set of eyes that understands the trust gap. You need to look for those compliance windows and backdoor clauses that we discussed in Part 2. Transparency is your greatest weapon, but only if it is handled correctly. You don't wait for a federal emergency decree to reveal your assets. You declare them now, honestly and legally, but you declare them as being under a new management. The goal of Step 1 is to clean your house before you move your title. Step 2 is the migration of authority. This is the most critical part of the bridge. You aren't moving your 50 acres of soil. You are moving the mind and management of the ownership. By establishing a Swiss international structure, you are hiring a guardian who does not answer to a domestic court. In 2026, ownership is no longer about who has the paper in their safe. It is about who has the jurisdiction to defend that paper. When you move your title to the Swiss mountain, you are creating a legal firebreak. Even if a domestic judge orders the seizure of your property, they are staring at a brick wall, because the entity that legally owns your farm is thousands of miles away, protected by 8 centuries of sovereign independence. Step 3 is the culture of sovereignty. This is the shift in your mind. Most of us were raised to be tenants of the state. We were told that as long as we pay our taxes and follow the rules, we are safe. But as the national debt hits $38 trillion, the rules are being rewritten to benefit the system, not you. Becoming sovereign means you no longer rely on a person who can lose their license for helping you. You build a network of international professionals who are legally bound to protect you, and you only. You stop asking for permission to own your DSAN, and you start exercising your right to transcend the trap. Think about what is at stake. We aren't just talking about numbers on a screen. We are talking about the 50 acres where you raised your children, the family ranch where you plan to grow old, and the DSAN you want to leave to your grandchildren. If you leave that DSAN in a Trojan horse, you are leaving them a bill they cannot pay and a cage they cannot escape. I see the comments from the independent minds in our community. You are the people who still believe in the American dream of private property, but you are smart enough to realize that the dream is being sold to the highest bidder. Fiscal Folklore was created for you. We don't sell fear. We sell the truth that sets you free. The path to Switzerland is 100% legal. It is transparent, and it is the only way to ensure that when the next stage of the crisis hits, your family is on the right side of the firebreak. Your lawyer might be an officer of the court, but you are the officer of your legacy. It is time to stop playing defense with a broken shield and start playing offense with a global bridge. The time to act is not when the emergency decree is on the evening news. The time to act is now, while the bridge is open, while the law still allows you to choose, and while your DSAN is still yours to protect. Look at the links in our description. Join the community of people who are crossing the bridge today. Subscribe to Fiscal Folklore, because in 2026, knowledge is the only currency that doesn't devalue. Stay sovereign, stay independent, and remember, your land is only yours if the jurisdiction that protects it is stronger than the system that wants it. Welcome to the other side of the firebreak. Welcome to your future. This is Fiscal Folklore, and your DSAN is now safe.